Alright, hello Guilders 2 Gamers, Muckluck here, and today got another episode of I Tried, where I try something outside the realm of what I normally play to see if the grass is greener on the other side, and to see how much we like it and how it feels. And today we've got the Heal Alack Support Paragon. This was a build made possible in the Visions of Eternity expansion, which added Paragon to the Warrior. Now, Warrior already had some support builds, but this is probably the new best Warrior support build for PvE. Not speaking for other game modes at this time, but it might be there too. So, what is the build? So first off, I'm gonna show myself playing it for just a couple seconds to show that I've got at least a basic understanding of how this works, and then we'll jump into it. So, I'm just gonna run on in here, and we're gonna make a whole lot of noise here, and do that, and do that, and do that. And you see those boons are already looking real fine. We're gonna find their weakness. All right, do all this. Okay, so that's it. That's it. We are rolling right now. We're got our rotation going, and we are providing protection, regen, vigor, swiftness, alacrity, fury, 25 might, a ton of healing, and the quickness is coming from the console to simulate being grouped with someone who is giving quickness. Also, fun fact, that was an extreme damage field, the highest setting, the one that is unrealistic numbers, and we were able to heal through that no problem whatsoever. So, what is the build? How do you play it if you want to? So, this is my gear. I am running Harriers, everything, except these right here are Givers for just a little bit of toughness. But you could run full Givers, honestly, because this thing's damage is terrible. With every boon in the game, I was doing 1.4k. It's god-awful damage. So you could just run full Givers and go full brick house if you want to. But for this, I was running Harriers with Givers right there. And Runes of the Monk, Relic of the Flock, and down here we've got a staff with concentration and transference, Warhorn with renewal, and mace with renewal, Warhorn with concentration. So that is what we've got. And then this is the traits, and these are the skills. Now, I will say right now, there are a few different variations of this that you can find on the various build websites. This is what, after a couple of attempts, felt comfortable for me, okay? So one variation of the build uses vigorous shouts and makes more use of shout skills down here on the bar. Despite all the noise I was making, I was not using shout skills, I was using command skills. If you are new to the game, shout skills are included in base Warrior. Command skills are part of Paragon. So shout skills, if you use them, this buffs them and buffs your healing power a little bit. Martial cadence, however, is every time you weapon swap, you then refresh Soldier's Focus. Now, this is gonna take a second, so bear with me. Periodically gain Soldier's Focus. It's a buff. When you hit an enemy, you spend the buff, and it will grant might to nearby allies. Okay? Soldier's Focus now also heals nearby allies and gives them prot. Okay, so you're giving them might, prot, and healing them, okay? Do some more damage. While you are in combat, grant might to nearby allies every 10 seconds. Applying might will heal you, okay, fine. And then this is Soldier's Focus applies stability to affected allies and removes conditions from them. Refresh Soldier's Focus when you swap weapons. All right, so this whole bar is whenever you swap weapons, you will then on your next burst skill, spend the buff called Soldier's Focus and give a little bit of stability to your team, some might to your team, healing to your team, and condition cleanse to your team. This is all synergizing extremely well with weapon swapping recharges 5 seconds instead of 10, which is insane. That's a warrior privilege right there. Gain adrenaline on weapon swap, increase incoming healing effectiveness and healing to others by a little bit. Banners grant resolution to allies, and pulsing boons applied through banners last longer. We have got a couple of banners in our kit. You could bring more depending on what you're doing. Gain might on weapon swap. Burst skills gain reduced recharge. Burst skills deal more damage, grant swiftness, and restore a portion of adrenaline spent. Then down here we got then we got Paragon. Parry the Paragon? We got Paragon, and we got just the main class mechanic. Now here there's two options. Gain motivation when you enter combat. This makes it easier for you to get started in the first couple of seconds of combat. I really liked this one. This one is like, okay, well, the first few seconds of combat are not as easy, but once I get rolling, every time I use Chant of Recuperation, I cure conditions off of the team. So I like Calming Tongue. Moving on, inspiring implements, you gain concentration, some free stats that we're going to use, gain motivation when you swap weapons, okay, and we're swapping weapons every 5 seconds, and invigorating tempo, heal yourself and gain adrenaline for each point of motivation spent. Unyielding resolve is strike and condition damage dealt to you is reduced for each point of motivation you have. You will often have 10, which would result in this being a 15% damage reduction on you. And lastly, feverish pulse, using a chant reduces the recharge of your other chants and grants boons to affected allies. So this is what gives your group alacrity. So every time you use a chant, you give them alac. All right, so that is the build, and how do you play it? Okay, so if you're interested in playing this, here's what you need to know. First, we're going to be spending We Shall Return and Find Their Weakness pretty much every time they light up. So we're just going to boop, 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 boop. So we're just hitting those, and then we use Staff 2 every time it comes off cooldown. Now, we got our chance up. We're gonna hit F2 for might, and then F3 for constant pulsing healing. You notice how this icon is larger now. Whichever chant is the most recent one you selected, it keeps going. So every time this is off cooldown, we hit F2, F3. Every time F3 is off cooldown, you do F2, F3. And then additionally, so we're hitting Staff 2 off cooldown, we're hitting these off cooldown, okay? And we're hitting F2, F3 every time they're both off cooldown. And then weapon swap F1 every time weapon swaps off cooldown. When you're in Warhorn, you can literally just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then this is the result of that. Like that's literally it, okay? So weapon swap F1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And okay, F3 is about to come off cooldown, so I'll F2, then F3. Weapon swap's off cooldown, so weapon swap F1. The 2 is off cooldown, so we do that. And that's it. That's all the boons. That's tons of healing. That's constant condition cleanse around you. All of that. All of that from that rotation right there, okay? Let's say outside of that rotation, what do you have to work with? The 3 is a big heal in a targeted area with the staff and gives them Aegis. Awesome. Additionally, another source of Aegis is Never Surrender, which is an instant Aegis around you, and your guy screams at people. You could swap this out for the banner that gives Aegis. Which one is it? Banner of Defense, which also does barrier and stuff, but it also has a longer cooldown. So 30-second cooldown, but it does more. This is a 20-second cooldown, but it can also be a stun break, and if you use it as a stun break, though, it's a 30-second cooldown instead of 20. For stability, we have got Banner of Tactics, which is that. Very, very quick cast time, not quite instant, but very fast. You can also use Chant of Freedom as stability. Now, obviously, I'm not hitting it, so I don't have any more adrenaline, but when I'm in combat, and I've been in combat for more than like 5 seconds, I feel like I have endless adrenaline. So if I need to swap to Chant of Freedom to do stability on the party, and then swap right back to recuperation, that's fine. Additionally, Chant of Freedom is an AoE stun break. Now, if I had had more muscle memory on this class, this would have been very handy today. There were moments when I was in a Pug Bone Skinner, when I was testing this build, where the Bone Skinner would do his cone breath attack, and it's a big knockdown. And I stepped out of the way, my team did not. And in hindsight, I could have used this to forcibly stun break them, because giving them stability when they're already on the ground doesn't do anything. But I could have forcibly stun broken them with Chant of Freedom, and then swap back to Chant of Recuperation. So it's a good tool to have once you get used to having it. You've got Snap Pull is just a small CC. Bullet Catcher is always fun. I use this on the Bone Skinner sometimes. When he leaps through the air and comes crashing down, you can block it and then turn it into a big heal on the party. Any of those moves where you get to block and then turn it around, like Revenant Greatsword has one as well. Those are always really fun. And like I said, on the Warhorn, we're basically just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The 5 is Barrier and Vigor on the team. The 4 is Swiftness on the team and removes a few conditions. The 3 is a bonk and some CC, and the 2 is another bonk and gives some adrenaline. So just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very simple. And that's it. And that's basically it. I guess Battle Standard wasn't mentioned. This is just an AoE revive in an area. You could also bring the Paragon We Will Never Yield thing, which is, barrier, and your teammates cannot die for a couple of seconds if you execute it properly.
We will never yield.
Yeah, see, he will never.
Might is your failure.
Okay, I thought he was done. And that brings us to our next point. Was there any cons about this build? And there's really two. One is that your damage is terrible. I've already mentioned that. The damage is god-awful. You're looking at like 1k DPS, maybe. There are some supports that do, substantial damage while supporting. Ritualist, Scourge, Untamed Mechanist all come to mind. This is not one of them. This guy is just a brick unkillable house that will be screaming at your party until he's the last man standing, if that's what it requires. The second con, he doesn't shut up.
Find their weakness. Never make them flee.
He just constantly.
Persevere.
I thought he was done. There he goes again. So when I was in there, I was actually with another Paragon. So the healers for the strike was 2 Paragons. And people were like, oh my God. Because they were not shutting up. We were just nonstop. Up. You can turn down dialogue volume, but that stops all dialogue volume for everyone. I will say, never before in the last like 7 years of pumping out stuff for this game have I ever wanted to mute only myself before now. Like, this is fun. It is powerful. It feels like an unkillable little healer in full plate armor. It is very, very fun. I would not play this in open world unless it was like a world boss thing where there was a ton of people there, because the damage is terrible. But it has like copious amounts of Aegis on demand, stability on demand. You can stun break your people around you. You got all the essential boons. You got all the on-demand boons, tons of healing, and very high armor, very high hit points, and very high damage reduction on yourself, and 1 big 5-man res on a long cooldown in the back pocket for emergencies. It does not have projectile block, like AoE projectile block. Like I can do myself, but I cannot make one of those big bubbles like a Guardian can, or a Scrapper can, or a Mechanist can, or an Untamed can. It has no big projectile block. That is a weak point of it. So if you are on a fight where you need that for some reason, don't have it. You just flat out don't have it. So that's just not something that's in your kit. By the way, if I'm wrong on that, please correct me. Please let me know, because Warrior's not my main, but I looked through it. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Yeah, this is really solid, very easy to pick up and play. Honestly, this wasn't meant to be a guide, but if you've watched this far, you probably already know how to do it at this point. It's just weapon swap F1 every time the weapon swaps off cooldown, F2, F3 every time the F3 is off cooldown. In staff, always hit the 2, save the other stuff for when you need it. On Mace Warhorn, just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then use these 2 every time they're off cooldown. Save these 3, and you can change these to other skills, but save these for when you need them, and save these for when you need them, and save this for when you need it. And that's it. That's it. That's the whole thing. You now know how to play Paragon support. You're welcome. This is incredibly solid. I would have no doubt that this could heal 99, if not 100% of the content in the game, because of the numbers it was putting out and how safe it felt while doing it. But yeah, this was wonderful. It was very enjoyable. I don't know if it's going to be like a new main of mine, but it's something I'd be happy to visit from time to time. I think that's it. That's my experience with heal lack support Paragon. If there's anything I would love for them to change, it would be space out the voice lines. I would like them to, because I was literally hearing find their weakness every 15 seconds in the fight. Maybe like if a voice line plays, put like a 2-minute cooldown on it, maybe 3. Like, don't play the same exact audio file within like a couple of minute time frame. That is something. I have a visitor. Hi, Jib says hello, fellow warrior mains. So that's it. I would like for them to add a short cooldown on all of the audio files for the Paragon, and I think that would be perfect. I think that's all they need to do. So I think that's everything. I think that is everything. So if you've got any questions, problems, thoughts, concerns, throw them in the comment section. I would love to read them, and I will fight you there.